welcome to another episode of What's Wrong With It This Week, with me, Jay. Now, Alex is not going to be with us today because he is over in Cambridge at the moment, and he is getting his RX-8 stripped down, ready for the weekends, if his engine turns up, that is, because I'll be going up with my engine crane and a load of tools, and we will be swapping his engine out, getting his car working, and just having a little look around it, see if there's anything else we can do. But while he's over there and I'm here, I'm going to be working on the 350Z. I've got a very, very horrible job to do, and to be honest, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm not the best welder, but you know, I'm confident enough to weld, I guess. Trouble is I am working on the part where Alex was working on his 350 when it set on fire. Saying that, where's the fire extinguisher? I think when he was welding his one, his was a little bit more straightforward, but with mine, I've cut some of the metal out and I'm finding a little bit more rot behind that. So I've ended up cutting out a little more, and then a little more, and a little more. So at the moment, there's just, it's a bit of a mangled mess, to be honest. It's like, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, help me. Where do I start with this? Because, you know, it seems to taper in, it tapers out, it bends and angles in all different kind of directions. And I've come to this idea that I'm just going to do the best I can. It hasn't got to look like how Nissan intended it to be, so I'm not going to try and replicate how it should look, basically. You know, I've kind of thought about it, and I'm like, well, maybe because I'm overthinking it and trying to make it perfect, this is why I'm struggling. Whereas if I don't go for perfect, I just go for, it's welded, it's structurally okay, it's not going to fall out, or I'm not going to fall out of the floor, then that's all that matters, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, it's under the car, who's going to see it? Apart from the MOT tester, but, you know, hey-ho. Yeah, so let's go over and have a look at what I'm dealing with, and you never know, by the end of this video I might have welded something, maybe. I don't know, we'll find out. While we're walking over to the Nissan, I've currently got Alex's 350 stripped. Boom. 2JZ. No shit. Well, if I sat in it, it would actually be a 1J, wouldn't it? As we can see, the trusty Asda's wheelie dolly is doing its job. So, yeah, thumbs up to Asda's for sponsoring this manoeuvring item. Boom. Anyway, let's go under here. Oh, I hate crawling under here. And you know what? The worst thing about these are these. Can't stand them. The amount of times I've smashed my knees, ribs, God knows what. God. Right. So, let's have a look. So, let's get that earth out of the way. So, we got this piece that runs around here. Let's move that brake line, there we go. Yeah, so we got that bit there. The problem with that I've got is the way it kind of tapers outwards, but I've got some ideas for it. But it's under here. So behind that bit is where the interior of the car is and your carpet. So, yeah, it's not the greatest place to be welding, but there's a lot of service rust here, and there's still, well, it's not too bad and it's quite pitted, but yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. Might be able to weld to it. And then you've got this this bit up here, which is going to be quite awkward to plate. So, oh, and this this angle here. See, look, didn't I say it was going to be annoying and a mangled mess? Yes, I'm right. So, I've been thinking, how can I shape it, blah, blah, blah. I think I've got a template cut out. It's basically a massive rectangle. And I'm just going to pull it over it and sort of see where it sits, basically. Where I can move it, where I can bend it. So I think if we pull it sort of this way, coming across, overlapping each side, and then put a bend here to come up, and then another bend so it sort of lips up the top a little bit, and then run a bead across. I mean, that's how I'm going to do the bottom, and that isn't taken into account yet either, because I haven't got a clue how I'm going to bend it round here and this piece and this piece here. Yeah, it's going to be fun because it basically bends in every way possible, and I'd rather try to do it in one piece, well, as much as I can in one piece, than start messing around with loads of little offcuts and God knows what. This is what I have come up with. Just made it have a bit of sheet metal. It was a right pain, but having a little look around, I think it's probably the best thing to have done. So so there we go. Butts in there nicely, right up to there. Sits up relatively flush, and you can't really see a bit in there. This little bit on the edge I need to flatten back. Same here, just a very small bit. So the plan is, I say plan, and I will say I will, but you know, we'll see what happens. What I had to do was bend this lip up, but because of it was arced here to here, I couldn't do it. So I just cut a slit here and a slit here, which let me bend the edges and bend in where I needed. So what I'm now going to attempt to do is pull it in the vise and cut, I think. This is what I say is going to happen. Whether it happens, I don't know. But is to cut a slit here and here, and then basically weld it like a butt joint, so it's just one piece, and then you're not going to have this overlap, so it should come out pretty nice, or it could look awful. We will find out in 2 seconds. I think it worked. So yeah, I'll cut them slits and then welded them so it's one piece, and ground them back. Not very great, but does the job. Let's see if it fits. Yeah, it fits. It's just this little corner here. It's going to need a little bit of a hammer. Ooh, what do I do? What do I do? Do I tack weld it and hammer it, or cut it? Might cut it, put a slit in it, bend this in, tack weld it, grind off the excess. Okay, let's go back. So it's actually day number 2, because when I was welding this in last night, I got under the car and went to film it to show what I'd done, and well, I didn't bring a USB Type-C charger and my GoPro died. So here we are again, laying under a rusty Nissan, even though it's technically slightly less rustier than it was yesterday. So anyway, this is what I've done. It's not the best, but hey ho, it works, doesn't it? Now I know it looks a little bit like blue tack, but honestly it's not. It's just some zinc paint I put over it. Well, yeah, it works. It just doesn't look pretty. I mean, I had some trouble welding it. I mean, the plate come out lovely, but with welding it, there was some bits of metal that was just lovely and clean, and it welded fine. Other parts, the metal was a little bit more like pitted and thin, so it was kind of hard to get a nice consistent weld, and I found myself keep getting up and changing the settings on the welder, and you know, I've got it all over, and usually the idea when I weld is that I will grind it back so it looks a bit better, but in this case I haven't really grinded it too far back, especially on this, you know, this side here, because it's just so thin at the top. I didn't want to risk grinding through because it is flimsy.
For you, that's a flexible blade that bends round the bone on the fish and doesn't allow it. Oh, me.
And this part up here looks like a pigeon's had an upside down poo, but I couldn't really get a grinder in here around these lines, and I just thought, you know what, it works. So the idea with this is to smother in some seam sealer, and then I'll paint it with that ME121, which I've done under here already, and it come out really nice. And then I think once I've done all of that, I will put some kind of stone chip or some Rapture, something just under the base here, just to help it a little more. So last night I was here till like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, and I'd been here since like 1:30 in the afternoon, and I was getting really tired, and I thought, what do I do with this nasty, horrible piece? And it was bugging me. I just felt like I couldn't go home and leave it like that. So surprisingly, I actually managed to lash something together really quickly. What I did was use masking tape. So imagine I put it kind of like that on the bottom, and then sort of, it's a bit hard to do when I'm holding the camera, but yeah, you get the idea. I sort of laid it all out, used a Sharpie and put the lines where my bends were going to be. These ones on the side were going to bend upwards, kind of like little tabs to the sills and the chassis, so I could just reinforce it a little better. So what I did with that is then put it on a piece of card, boom, and traced it out, then slapped that on this massive piece of sheet metal, cut it out of an angle grinder, and then started bending it in God knows how many ways, and I come up with that. So yeah, it's a bit rough because, like I said, I've been here for so many hours. I just kind of lashed it up really quickly. So yeah, it needs trimming still in a few places, and some filing and a little bit more shaping. And then I'll probably do the same on I did on the other plate with this corner here, and try and butt this in and weld that. Yeah, come out all right. I've kept this because my theory is if I put this on another piece of steel, cut it all out, but then flip it upside down and then bend my tabs in the opposite direction to the one I've just made, then in theory it should fit the passenger side. I also took a very rough, is it that? Yes, it is that. Template of the big plate I did. So just sort of marked it up. So obviously when this line that I can't do with one hand meets up, you've got the same angle and shape as the other plate. So yeah, keep your templates. Could be useful, might not be, but you know, if it works, then you're going to save yourself a lot of time doing it again. Yeah, so here is that really nasty bit. I need to trim this back a bit because I noticed this piece here and here, I actually need to cut it back a little more. This bend needs to be moved upwards slightly. I need to cut a little slit here and move this this 90-degree inwards just a little bit. But so that bit there sits up into there. I mean, it's not sitting flush at the moment, but you know, you get the idea of yeah, it'll work out lovely. And then we'll just put some spot welds across the top here, around here. These were the tabs. Probably don't need them, but I just thought, why not give it a little bit extra. But I did leave this one here, this bend, because I think that's gonna sort of close this part in. Just need to trim it here because it's this little knobbly bit. I can't seem to get a grinder to get in there lovely. So yeah, probably just take a little bit off there, so we can get that sitting basically right in like that. But that is a job for another day. I've only popped down here to move Fireman Sam's 350Z because that's going to go to the scrapyard very soon, and it's kind of like in my way. And plus I've had enough of since yesterday of laying underneath a Nissan, getting covered in rust, breathing in little bits of metal, and I keep banging my knee on them bloody studs. So yeah, had enough. But I'll film this when I come back, maybe later in the week, and weld that in. Yeah, so we'll see.